Hi there. In this instructor game, Bobby Fischer is playing against Charles Witte in the 1957 58th US Open. So round 6, e4 from Bobby Fischer. We see a Sicilian defense, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes, knight takes, knight f6, knight c3, a6, and Fischer's trademark move, preference, bishop c4, e6, white castles, bishop d7, bishop drops back, bishop e7, we see bishop e3, black castles, and now f4. So this has quite often the idea of trying to open up the bishop more on this key diagonal. Black plays queen c7. It would be inadvisable to play e5 here. For example, f takes, d takes, white can use that f5 square. And even if the queens came off here, white's advantage is pretty clear here. This is a very dominating position with the bishop pair. So we see actually after f4, queen c7, keeping the Scheveningen pawn formation in place. But guess what Fischer plays in this position if I give you 5 seconds to pause the video. Okay, Fischer plays a kind of delayed Keres attack, this g4, to drive away this knight, which reduces black's central influence. We see king h8. The alternative in h6 doesn't really help here, it seems, because of g5. And in this continuation, g6 is a very strong undermining move. So that bishop on b3 will see greater activity, and white dominates the position here on the light squares as an example. This is just a fictitious example. White stands much better. If we follow this a bit further, we can see that white will eventually have great light square outposts as an example. So anyway, we see king h8, g5, knight g8, f5. This is very, very aggressive direct play from Bobby Fischer. e5, and now knight d5, queen e7, knight f3, which not only protects the pawn, but actually this is super uncomfortable for black. Look at this b6 square. That is a common square of great importance here with the knight and bishop. And in fact, after bishop c6, very difficult position, we see bishop b6, queen c8, and now knight takes e7, which picks up the d6 pawn. Black's position is rapidly collapsing here. We see queen e8, bishop c5, b6, and now guess what Fischer plays here if I give you 5 seconds to pause the video. Okay, f6. This appears actually much stronger even than queen takes e7, because after b takes, although white has an advantage, f6 is actually much stronger. We have knight g6. If b takes c5, the penalty is much more severe. After f takes e7, we can see that f7 is hugely a problem after knight takes e5, threatening knight takes f7. It's a total disaster. So knight g6 is played, but now fragmenting the pawns with f takes g7, queen f6 check, and we see white winning the exchange, threatening checkmate. Diabolical, isn't it? Queen takes rook ad1, threatening rook d8, bishop e8, queen d6, knight d7. The queens come off, h4, rook c8, rook d2, king e7, h5. The knight goes to f4. Guess what Fischer plays here? If I give you 5 seconds to pause the video. Okay, knight takes e5, yeah, undermines that knight. We see knight h3 check, king h2, knight takes g5, but now simplification, knight takes d7, bishop takes rook d f2, bishop c6, bishop takes f7, knight takes e4, and now rook f5. We see bishop b5, check, check. Then this is starting to look very precarious for black. Rook f4, knight d6. We see rook e5 check. And now c4. We see knight takes f7. If bishop a4, b3 looks very nasty to trap the bishop. So knight takes f7. But c takes b5 is check, king d6, rook drops back, knight e5. I mean, what else? It looks horrendous, this position. After check, rook f5, the game ended here. If black plays on, white can simply just take off on e5, take off, and then that pawn is queening. So a really crushing game. I felt it was instructive here. It shows how a kind of delayed Keres attack can be employed. It's not just a hack attack. If we go back to that critical moment, if we want to play like Fischer against the Sicilian defence, this seems not a bad system at all. After g4, this seems very, very aggressive stuff. It reminds me of Nesmetanov, one of my favourite attacking players as well. It was a kind of related to Tal, that kind of Tal's trainer, playing this kind of kingside pawn storm quite a bit in his games. But here, yeah, this is really, it seems positionally justified here. It's to do with central control, breaking open the bishop, structural concerns, king safety concerns. They're all going in White's favour here. White has such a good control over key central squares. There's no counter-attack on the other side of the border or in the centre. So a very instructive moment, I thought, the start of a really brilliant kingside pawn storm. You wouldn't want to be playing black against Fischer here, that's for sure. Okay, thanks so much. Hi guys, if you enjoyed this video lecture, you might want to get more at my course, Kingscrusher TV/Bobby Fischer, which I had a blast creating, over 25 hours of video content. I tried to get the most instructive juice out of every single game covered and picking the most important games from this period. I had an absolute blast creating it, and I think you'll have an absolute blast checking it out. And it's at a big discount code with this link, you know, Kingscrusher TV/Bobby Fischer has the discount code. So I hope you do check that out. Thanks very much.